Good morning. Good morning, everybody out there in Facebook land. So, I do these videos to show you what it's like to be me every single day with having the J World behind my belt or behind me. I mean, as far as the juice, I don't do the juice anymore. I have a very specific technique. I eat all food. I understand indicators. I feel the frequencies in the environment. And yeah, they are more aggressive on the weekend versus the weekdays. The energy was so excessive that it almost makes you feel like you're starving, like you're so hungry, you can't get enough to eat because the energy is using up so much energy in your body that if you are not so obese or not so, well, if you're not so obese but you're skinny, you're always gonna be hungry when you're skinny because you have to get to that point of understanding what you have to do to calm those feelings down. Because somebody said that they felt like they eat everything, they eat so much, but they can't seem to assuage their hunger. They can't seem to satisfy their hunger. And they feel different things when they're in large crowds or around group type of things where it gives off energy, because people give off energy, crowds give off energy. So being skinny in this environment, you're going to feel everything. And when you're skinny in this environment and you feel everything, what do people do when they feel stuff? They try to stop the pain or try to stop the energy, which then does work against them. So yeah, I felt the energy this weekend, and I'll tell you, it can put you on a short temper if you're dealing with someone who's also dealing with their own stuff. And it's not difficult for people who are really imbalanced to fly off the handle with each other and go to the extremes. Hopefully people are in relationships where they're not so volatile, or they're apart most of the time, so they're not always stepping on each other's toes. Because in this environment, with how the frequencies are and how much like you're on edge because of the frequencies on the weekends, you have to really be even more careful how you interact with people and who you're with. Because even your friends, your family, your husband, your wife, your kids can trigger you just like that. And I feel like on Sunday, I felt a surge of energy. And so, yeah, I'll read my emails and all that stuff, and I'll respond to people who are stalking the crap out of me. But remember, again, I am one choosing to read the spam, but sometimes I'll retort back and give my 2 cents. And so to return the favor so they can convert that energy into whatever they want. So I'm kind like that. People are kind enough to give me their energy. I'm kind enough to return it on some level. Sometimes I'm not, because I've exhausted that situation and there's nothing left, and I don't need to destroy that person because they won't convert it to their benefit. And when you know people can't convert energy to their benefit, you stop talking to them. Some people are strong enough to take my energy and convert it to their benefit, whatever it is, and so I don't mind giving it back because it also helps me clarify my thought process. But some people are not strong enough to convert my energy, and so I cut off all communication because there's no reason for it. Because it's just more of the suffering and the suffering and the suffering, and that gets tiresome, listening to someone suffer, and then you're feeding them enough to listen to them suffer some more, and then you're like, okay, I can't do this. And that's why I don't understand people how they get into the medical industry today with people who are suffering so much, because you're around suffering 24/7. I couldn't do it. It will destroy you over time when you are around that much suffering on a continuous basis. Which is, again, why I don't respond to trolls very often, but I will face my demons every so often, because that's a good thing to do, is to, now, facing demons doesn't mean that you put yourself in a snake pit and then just get cannibalized by strangers. That's not facing your demons. That's just suicide. You don't want to do any kind of suicide missions. J-Juice is not about kamikazing yourself into something, okay? It's about intellectually explaining yourself. I am emotional, and so you see me go off emotionally and say stuff. But when you think about it, I'm trying to intellectually explain to you the position that I'm in, and also what my whole point is, and why I also can challenge even my supporters of them being in fear of chemicals and fear of all these different things, because I don't want you to be in fear. You'll be in fear if you have to be, but there's no reason to be if you understand. My technique is surefire, and it's something that you have to do over time, because it takes a while to get into the habit of doing my techniques, okay? And you can still do your job and do all the things. You'll still feel stuff. I mean, you know that. People feel stuff all the time. But there is a way to release those demons and help your body get through that process faster, or get through that process and overcome the situation, and you would have some kind of diagnosable condition. Eventually, you would not be dependent on drugs or any other things that cause you to run away from feeling stuff. And so I'm just trying to now show you every single day what I'm feeling like, what I've experienced, what you will experience, what you are experiencing, confirming what you're experiencing, and say that, yes, even when you do finally release all your demons and you get to a point where all your issues are resolved, now you have to deal with the frequencies. Like, okay, this weekend, like overnight, like the last 2 nights, my husband was feeling the pains of his back. His body's pushing crap out, and he's got to deal with it. And I also feel stuff, and I can feel stuff gather in my throat. At 3 o'clock in the morning, it was painful for him on Saturday night. It was really painful for him. And so he had to go sleep downstairs on the couch because he just couldn't sleep in the bed. And I'm like, shit, And so, but I also feel the mucus build up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, is it because the frequencies are even turned up higher? It's hard to say. But if both him and I are feeling stuff, and him now even more so, and then I was feeling my head itch this weekend, which I hadn't felt that in a while, okay? I feel my head itch, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm scratching and scratching, and that's exactly what I felt like a couple months ago, all right? So there's different frequencies, and they're doing different things. You don't know what exactly these frequencies are, or how, or what it is, but people don't understand that HAARP and CERN and Wi-Fi and all the different cell towers, all the electricity is influencing your immune system, and you have to feed it. And yes, it's free energy. Like I said, I was being snarky yesterday about free energy. Vaccines are free energy. Chemical spills are free energy. And I know I take things really far, so you understand that all chemicals are is energy. Obviously, if it's aggressive, deadly energy, the EPA and the agencies would come out and assess the situation, because they can't decimate a whole fucking town. I mean, obviously that would kill off their tax base. So you know that the government's not going to kill off their tax base. Okay, they want to keep those that are viable to work around, and those that are taking from the system so much, well, they're going to be going off. Okay, so you got to understand that everything that you're experiencing is free energy. Now you have to convert it. All right, now you have to convert that free energy. Some people hoard energy, so they're really obese and they're hoarding energy, not that they mean to, but their body, their genetics were trained to hoard energy. And some people's bodies were trained to release so much energy so that they can't get enough to eat. And so they're constantly trying to keep the weight on, but they can't, because for whatever reason, they haven't released the demons. Okay, because remember, I was very skinny at one point in the J world. Remember, I was doing so much J juice that I was so skinny, and people were even giving me reviews on themselves and like, oh my God, I look like a model now. I'm all skinny, I'm beautiful, I'm this and that. I'm like, that's great. And that was in a slower frequency before the 2019. And so they're happy because they were probably more, they had vanity pounds that they wanted to lose. And the J world, like with me, I was astonished on how much I lost with the J juice. And so, but now you can't afford to be that skinny. You can't afford to be dieting. You can't afford to have political issues against food. Now you have to bring on the weight. But here's the thing. We're not all getting the same frequencies. Okay? I mean, I can imagine that people in Canada, people in the UK, people in Ohio, people in different places are getting different types of frequencies. I might be getting more over here in Ohio than somebody in California. But California has their own issues to deal with. And they have a different type of tax base or genetic base, right? And so the powers that be know exactly who's in what area and what the weaknesses are. Oh yeah, the system knows what your weaknesses are. They know your fears. They know your politics. When they know your politics and know your fears, they know how to mess with you. And you're like, wow, you sound such a conspiracy. You sound ignorant. You sound like a conspiracy theorist. You sound like, you're stupid. Blah. Honey, I've been on this earth for 50 years. There is nothing organic. We are in planned communities, HARP, CERN, Wi-Fi, all of that. Those are all things that the government has developed so that they can give you a great life and also help control the life in the life that you're in, and keep a nice running organized society without so much riffraff. They allow a riffraff in certain parts of town, and the police and the government know which parts of town have more riffraff than others, and if you move into that part of town, you expect to have some kind of shit happen. All right? So it's not like it's any news that the government does have the agencies control the machines. Okay? Nothing is organic. Again, nothing is like, oh, it's just coincidental. It's just how our society works. People want to think everything is organic, that the government's always right, and some of my trolls are boomers. They don't understand that there's things that do control things, that not everything the veterinarian knows. Not everything that the veterinarian or the doctors don't know everything. They're practicing medicine. Now I've learned that I'm not going to have an animal again really until we have calmed down and I can expect to have my animal around for a while and the animal is built on better genetics, because right now at this point having an animal would be just no. So I learned that, that I'm not willing to deal with more suffering. Okay. And so I've gotten used to, being on my own without an animal. I've already used to my husband being away. So I'm pretty autonomous. But it's nice now having the freedom. Okay. But I have to address these Amazon reviews because it is like a facing demons. I'm not going kamikazing. I'm not on a suicide mission. What I'm trying to do is explain to people, because no one's going to really, Masa gave a good review because she had found relief. And I appreciate that. That's great. Obviously, that's not the whole point of the J Juice, is to find relief right away, because we know people have a lot of predisposed issues and they're going to have to go through pain for years and years because of the stuff that's in their body. But it's great that, yes, people do find relief on the J Juice, but that's not the point. Okay, the point is that, yes, you use the J Juice to catalyze and bring up the demons, and then you feed them and release them. And I have a technique to do that. And so I have dodged so many cancer bullets, lymphoma bullets, spinal meningitis bullets. I've had rashes where they could have been turned into like a cancerous type of thing, but they weren't, because my body was able to release. I've had so many different infections because of things that I held in my body or whatever I caught out there. And my body was able to release it because of my technique and because I wasn't afraid of food. And so you're not going to see great reviews on Amazon, because who's going to really admit that they understand their sphincter? Who's going to admit that they get the whole J world, that you have to pull out your shit? And it's not glamorous. We have sexualized body parts that are necessary, that are the core function of who we are, and made shame out of it. So no one wants to talk about sticking their finger up their butt, but they're willing to go have some stranger do that. And so that's more accepted, to have a stranger go and stick their hands in you than you understanding you. And so that's what you're seeing in the Amazon reviews, are those that are allowing strangers to basically dictate and commandeer every part of their body. And they're okay with that. They're okay with allowing strangers to do that. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not okay with it. And then they get mad at me because I pointed that out, when we really didn't think about that as something like, oh, that might be a little bit icky, having some strange dude or strange girl put their hands in you, regardless, for whatever reason. And so, I get a lot of projection back, because I'm like, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't feel right. I already knew every single time I went to a gynecologist, I felt violated. Even in the military, they had men do that shit to us. Okay? Men. That's fucking crazy, having men do all those things that you do when you're going into the military. MEPS, Military Entrance Processing Station. And so when you finally look back and see, like, oh my God, what did I allow happen to me? No wonder we have so many victims in our society. No wonder there's so much human trafficking. No wonder there's people like Paris Hilton who has to go and deal with her past, because of all that programming of allowing strangers to do stuff to us that we have chosen not to understand ourselves. And so those that are reviewing my book on Amazon, who are afraid of their sphincter, afraid of poop, afraid of everything, they're going to pull shit out of their fucking ass, literally. And they're not doing it knowingly. They're pulling shit out of their ass just to make it sound like this is so crazy. When in reality, when you think about it, the reality of what we've accepted is far crazier than what I'm actually introducing. But they can't see that. Of course they can't. Because again, when you've been told that anyone that deals with your butt is like maybe someone who's gay. And so you see then, okay, so I can see why some of the gay population, like the gay men, are beautiful. Why are they beautiful? Because they've had to do enemas to do their stuff, and they're releasing demons. And they're eating good, right? They're in a relatively temperate climate, like California, like San Francisco. Oh my God, the gay men in San Francisco are so fucking gorgeous. You're like, holy shit, they're gorgeous. Okay? And they also, and they're also releasing the demons because, and probably taking them on too, but that's a different story, but they're also releasing demons. Okay? And when you're releasing demons, you have clear skin. Maybe they can afford some of the plastic surgery and stuff, and the workout stuff. But I'll tell you, when you do release the demons and then you program your body in whatever way to make you look even more sexual or more acceptable, socially acceptable, oh my God. And then you get the guys that are like very right wing, that are maybe, in the right wing Republican, who may have an issue with some of the sexual orientations, and they won't touch your ass for anything. They'll think it's crazy. They will not touch your ass for nothing. They won't pull anything out. They will be like, oh my God, that's crazy. And then you see then who is going to be probably going to survive different cancer, disease, and chronic illnesses. Okay? Because somebody is willing to, people are just not knowingly are releasing their demons, and that's part of their lifestyle to release demons, but they don't know that's what it is. And the other part of people are, they're like, nope, I'm not doing it because it makes they might think that they're gay if they touch their butt, or if they even think about even acknowledging the J juice world, whatever, and what I'm actually advocating. Okay. And so you see the psychological operations that I'm up against. So I know I'm not expecting to have a 5-star review when you have half the population won't even look at their ass because they think it's gay. And the other half is like, oh God, I don't want to feel symptoms, and have that. So, I mean, I'm obviously going up a really steep hill. It's an uphill climb trying to introduce longevity to people who've been psychologically programmed to have strangers touch them and or not even know about their own body. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done having strangers touch me. I'm done having someone tell me how to think, how to feel, how to, I'm done with all that. I'm so fucking done. It's unreal. I'm fucking done. And so it's time to address the Amazon reviews. Okay? And why did I do it this time? Because somebody else posted a sign review, or not a review, but like a book signing over there in LA. And I'm like, and the woman was beautiful, right? The woman that is doing her book signing is beautiful. She's doing a therapy, like massage therapy, and it's supposed to deal with chronic pain and stuff. And you see she has a 5-star review on her Amazon stuff. And you can say that I'm jealous. I'm a little bit. I'll admit a little bit jealous, but not so much, because I understand what it is. We have people who are dying, who are in chronic pain, and they want to find every kind of relief possible. They won't do the J world. And so, yeah, what's going to be popular is someone who can say, well, touch yourself, and here you can release your own pain. And they're a massage therapist, and that's popular in the holistic world. And of course, LA, you have your beautiful people. And so I'm like, okay, I left California, I left the whole thing, I'm in this, whatever. But then I went and looked at my reviews, and I'm like, and I'm comparing myself, right? And I'm like, okay, but I'm remembering what it is I'm doing. This is not for the short term. This is for the long term. Okay. And so that's why I checked out my reviews, because I was looking at somebody else's, and that's human. That's natural for humans to compare themselves to somebody else. And yeah, I could sell out and be like, well, but I don't know. I'm not trying to get into the health and wellness world. That's the only way that you're able to get good reviews and get people to accept you, is if you are to follow that path of shortcuts, of pain-free shortcuts, and not dealing with the pain that you have taken on because of your practices in the health and wellness, holistic, allopathic. And that you can survive suffering, not suffering from somebody else putting their hands on you or antagonize you and bullying you, but you can survive the suffering of releasing your own demons without harming yourself and without ending up dead in the morgue at some point. And that's really what it comes down to, because those in the health and wellness world playing with their body parts and playing and manipulating their different chakras and all that, they end up dead at some point. Yeah, they might be pain-free for a certain amount of time, and that's why people get popular. But over time, their body still holds in the damaged energy, the energy that they really can't handle, and they end up dead. And so Yeah, it's great to be pain-free, but at the end you pay for it. And Disney already told us that, Ursula sold Ariel all the spells to get the man, but she had to pay with giving up her voice. But she got the legs. She got the legs, but she didn't have the voice. That really was what influenced him to like her, what attracted him to her. So that's the thing that people are not going to realize. They don't care. And I understand that. When you don't care that you're going to pay with your life because you already accepted that you're going to die someday, it's easy to sell people a pill, power supplement, detox, a massage therapy technique, or anything else. It's not that difficult. People want the latest and greatest thing because they are in so much pain. And again, like I talked about superconductors, when you have deterioration in your joints, and then you have to go get a titanium steel knuckle or titanium steel implant to go be that bone for you. You know how much pain you're going to be in at some point, but right now people are living on painkillers with that because that's a conductor. When you're in a frequency such as this, that titanium steel is a conductor. That's not like, that's trace minerals on fucking steroids. You're supposed to have trace minerals in your body, but remember, people are taking like zeolite and clay and diatomaceous earth and other heavy metals to do heavy metal detoxes, thus making them more of a heavy metal superconductor, which is why the holistic women and men who are all into the copper, all into all the heavy metals in our house, the organite, they're depleting. You can't say that to them. I don't ever, when I see someone promoting like copper and stuff, and that's a heavy metal, and they're all into copper, everything is copper, I don't say anything on their Facebook. I just say that, when you're focusing on one metal, one compound, one element, you're a superconductor now. Now you're so full of the heavy metals in your body that it's going to then cause your body to go into more immunological response when it's exposed to particles or anything else or what's in your body, and the body will replicate, but it's not going to help keep the substance on. It's going to keep cannibalizing you. That's the aging process. Or people get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they get more obese, and that's also the other side of it if you trigger it on each end, which is why laparoscopic surgery and all those different surgeries for weight loss are booming, as well as Ozempic, taking the injections to control your fat, control your fat retention. And so let's look at Jillian's reviews. And I'll say the names of the people because they put their names out there. See, people that don't review even a good review on the J World because they don't want to be outed. And I get it. I'm not faulting any of you in the J World not giving a review. Okay? You don't need to. You don't need to, because it's not going to matter what people say or do not say. People are going to have to figure out for their own what they're willing to deal with. And it won't, there's no amount of great reviews that are going to get people to want to face the pain of their own predisposed issues. Okay? So do not give a review if you don't want to. Please don't. Just keep yourself autonomous. You have your own journey to go through. This is my journey. I'm willing to face it. I'm willing to be the face of it and explain it as articulate as I can and represent you, so that way people understand why you probably will not say too much about it, because it's none of people's business what you do behind closed doors. But the fact that you're trying to survive this climate change and you're trying to like release the demons, and your shit, I'll tell you, your shit has the fossilized, world from days of yore, and then your shit can also represent the current programming. Like yesterday, like I didn't poop too much on Saturday, but I pooped a lot yesterday. Sometimes you'll hold on to stuff. Like now you'll really understand your poop like cycles. Okay? And you'll want to get rid of the past and developing a future and a present. And so every time you eat, that is the present. But if you have so much past in your body, so much fossilized poop in your body that is converting those proteins and those cells to be damaged, then you are feeding the past. And that's why you see people not really change in their lifestyle, belief systems, their politics, their religion, their science, because the poop in their body that hasn't really been released is converting all the potential evolutionary energy into past energy. And so you see a lot of my JJ crowd, some of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are going back to getting the different remedies. They're back to looking at the different doctors. They're done with the J World. The J World is not enough for them. I told you, Jilly Juice is not a cure. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a catalyst. They couldn't handle it. In this environment, even J juice can't be a relief to somebody, because obviously you'll get a breakthrough infection, and even the J juice won't work. And so you're forced to now deal with your stuff. And if you don't want to deal with your stuff, then you'll keep going to all the different remedies, the newest on the block. And so I never said that J juice was a cure. It was always a catalyst. And now the evolution is you eat everything. I have a technique, and people don't like that because they've been psychologically programmed to be afraid of their own system. So here's this. One Too Many is the name. She didn't put her name, or he didn't put her name. Review on December 10th, 2022. This is the third book Ms. Epperly has written, and it's even more science fiction than the first two. Okay. This woman started out pushing out a dangerous salty cabbage laxative recipe which promised to cure the gay, cure cancer, cure disease, and cure chronic illness, regrow limbs to never age, and promised indefinite life. The result is her going on Dr. Phil and receiving a warning from the FTC to cease and desist. Her website has been watched by the FTC ever since. Book 2 was justification for her belief system. She is not a doctor, a nurse, an APRN, or a physician's assistant. Well, I never claimed to be. I don't know what people are thinking. Okay. Or anything else, even remotely medically or scientifically educated. She is a former insurance salesperson. Well, they got that right. I understand insurance and risk. Okay. After her second book, she entered into the realm of Georgia Guidestones, giants, ancient aliens. See, I'm telling you, I have some great fans. They are paying attention, which is good. People are actually now being exposed to this that they weren't. They're all into the mainstream, and now they're going to get exposed to something a little bit alternative. Ancient Aliens now completely contradicts everything written in books 1 and 2. Right! That's called evolution. Evolution. You're supposed to understand both sides of the story. So now you see that is a proof that they can only look at my past stuff. And so when I contradict myself, when I say, okay, maybe this isn't so, now it's time to look at this side and balance both sides, they have a hard time with that. So now I'm contradicting to myself, right? And they don't give me any props for that, right? No, they're like, oh shit, she just contradicted herself. She just went against what we said, but they still can't give me any props for that. No, because really it's not about the J world. It's about they have their own shit they got to deal with, and they don't want someone telling them that they have to face their own pain. There is no freaking cure out there. There's nothing out there for them. They got to face their demons. And you think someone who has so many demons inside wants to face their demons? No. So then I'm the enemy. And I understand it. I'm willing to take that on. I'll be the bad guy. You know, like in parenting relationships, there's always the good parent and the bad parent. The good parent's always like spoiling the kid. The bad parent's always trying to put, the boundaries down and all this stuff. I guess I'm the fucking bad parent, but I'm willing to take it on because I'm used to it. Okay? And so she contradicts everything written in her books 1 and 2. She encouraged people to turn to Big Macs, into milkshakes, to live to age 400. Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with Big Macs. It's not poison. FDA approved. She tells her devoted followers on her Facebook group to read everything on her Facebook because all the information is there. Okay, what's wrong with that? If you care about your health at all, please look at her Facebook page first. Watch the Dr. Phil episode. Yeah. The J juice was a catalyst. It woke up the demons. Look, climate change is a catalyst. Woke up the demons. We primed the world for this. And when you think about it, it did kind of catch the New World Order. I'm going to go into science fiction again. It did catch the Rosicrucians off guard, and they came at me with a vengeance. Oh, they did. Now, they weren't going to hurt me as far as physically, but they were going to try to psychologically fuck with me, yeah. But also they were going to try to diminish my credibility and make me out to be like some cult member, someone that's, unbalanced. But when you think about it, I never claimed to be a doctor. I never claimed any of that. What they were actually doing was giving me more fuel, more energy to go and convert and to prove myself that we need to relook at the medical and the holistic system. And that, why is it that if a little salt, why is it that people are afraid of energy? And that salt, yeah, is energy, but you can't take away salt from your body or you become jellyfish. But, you add so much salt, you become cured and then die. That's the thermodynamics, the laws of thermodynamics. So there had to be a happy medium, and you had to feel energy. Why is it they weren't priming people to feel energy? Why wasn't that the system was conditioning you to deal with energy? No, because 2019 was already somewhere in the works. And if you were to introduce salt four years before and feel the energy, people would be conditioned to deal with the climate change and they wouldn't be freaking out so much. So maybe the whole J juice kind of gave people a conditioning to realize that they didn't have to die from their symptoms. But see, that's the thing, so I took on the brunt. So the whole climate change was to kind of just give everybody out there, if I wasn't around, the climate change would have caused all this stuff, and then they would all blame it on the V's. And so, yeah, biotech and the V's would take the brunt of the force of the stuff. But no, I took on some of that brunt before 2019, before the V's came out. And so I inserted myself in between, the situation, and I got the flack, versus just not having the J world and allowing 2019 to happen and let the vaccine companies take on the flack. No, I put myself right in the fucking middle of it. But again, I never claimed to be a doctor or a nurse or even a scientist. Yes, I understand risk. I understand how to prepare for catastrophic events. That's what I was trained in, to prepare, to always be one step ahead. And sometimes, buying a certain amount of insurance so you can be one step ahead of a such situation is necessary. So yeah, being an insurance salesman and being raised by scientists and being married to a guy who understands electronic stuff and CB radios and amplifiers and particle acceleration, not that he would explain it like that, but has given me a bigger, well-rounded view of how shit works. And that, yeah, my book is about the Rosicrucians, and that you are dealing with some stuff called the fourth turning, and it happens every certain amount of time, and you're seeing all these different events develop. And nothing is organic. Things have been brewing for a while, and they come to a head, and that becomes the next thing. We know that Tuesday, Trump is supposed to be indicted, and he's encouraging people to go and protest. So, that's another thing in development. Okay, nothing is organic, and so I'm just preparing you for the energy that's inevitably going to happen. All right? And so she tells her devoted followers on her Facebook group to read everything on her Facebook page because all the information is there. If you care about your health at all, please look at her Facebook page first, watch the Dr. Phil episode, and look at her YouTube videos. If what she says interests you, then waste your money and buy the book. If you decide to take her health advice, it's not health advice. Take mine for free. My shit's for free too. Make sure your insurance premiums are paid up and you're ready for your health to deteriorate. I'm telling you, that lady or man, whoever that is, that one too many, their health is deteriorating already. And they don't even need the J juice. But their health is deteriorating. Why is that? Because that's our system. The system is about deterioration of health. So, the J juice is not antibiotic. Yes, it's ionic, but it's not antibiotic. That's the difference. You live in an area, several spheres away from the ionosphere, but you are connected to the ionosphere. There's a free electrons up there that HAARP and CERN and Wi-Fi all kind of work together and influence things. That's why you get information coming through your internet. That's why you get inclement weather and all that stuff. We know that they've been messing with the weather for years. The chemtrails world has alluded us to that. Not that we couldn't survive it, and we know people are pissed off about it, but we know that's what's going on. We know that they can make it rain over here. They know they can make it snow over here, make it windy over here. It's not, when you actually read my Facebook page, it gives you all the scientific shit. I don't have to make anything up. It's all there in plain sight. That's the Rosicrucian thing. That's why they have the inserts. That's why they have the side of the bottle that says, here are the side effects. Here is what could happen if you do take this. They're not hiding shit from you, but you choose to be ignorant. You choose to turn your head away. Then you are thinking that everything's a conspiracy when it's not. It's in your fucking face. You think everything is like a science fiction. It's in your face. They're telling you everything that they're fucking doing. Climate change. They're telling you it's climate change. It's going to be aggressive. People don't understand what that is. They just think, okay, it's the weather. Oh, it's everything. It's immunological. It's physiological. It's intellectual. It is spiritual. It's so many things. But again, this person only will look at one tiny little view of the world, that they couldn't even understand why I contradict myself, that you had to eat now because the salt in the water and the J juice was so ionic that, yeah, I lost a bunch of weight. Now it's time to gain the weight because now we're in a really highly ionic atmosphere called 2020, 2019. That's where the whole evolution of the J juice came about. It was like, holy shit, I feel the energy. I was feeling the headaches and all that. My dog was shaking, and you couldn't afford to be on the diet. You couldn't afford to do the J juice diet that I had at the time. Okay? You couldn't. You had to eat everything. You had to put freaking Big Macs and a milkshake together and eat it, because that's called sustenance. You think a kid over there in Ethiopia, if you get them on transition them on food, they would die for a fucking Big Mac. We here in America, we take food for granted, that we can't even eat food because we don't want to feel the pain of it. That's how privileged and entitled we are. That we are given so much access to resources and we take it for fucking granted. And we don't know how to balance it out. And then we want more. We want more money. We want more energy. We want free everything. And you're getting such amazing food. McDonald's is fucking amazing. Oh, but no, when someone has health issues, that they can't even handle a McDonald's hamburger, a Big Mac in a blender with a milkshake, and they think that's gross. No, it's Big Mac and a milkshake. It's nutrients. You break it all down. It's fatty acid, amino acid, pro-hormones, and minerals. But people don't break stuff down. They look at the politics around the food. They look at the politics around symptoms. They look at the politics around everything. They can't seem to get out of their own way. They don't understand physics or chemistry or biochemistry or math or English or anything like that. They do not bother to research anything. It's all fucking emotional to people who are like my reviewers on Amazon. They were bred to be emotional and to react at the drop of a dime. They spin on a dime. Spin on a fucking dime. And 13 people found that helpful out of what? 7.98 billion people. 13 people found that helpful out of 13 billion. I think that's actually not bad. That only 13 people found it. If you want to say it's helpful and you want to go on there and you hate me, great. Make it 14, make it 15. But let me tell you, some people are really going to realize that this is the only way that if you have it within you, and you don't need to be out there telling everybody, but if you have it within you, this is where you're going to save your own life. But you got to build up for this. This is something that's not like a short-term cure like you see in the medical holistic system. That's why those people that are in the health and wellness world, they're selling you another technique and another cure or another type of thing. They paid a lot of money because it gives a person a temporary relief, but in the long run, they're going to have to go to something else, or they're going to have to get stronger drugs or stronger techniques or stronger this. No, the J world, you just keep feeding the energy and you rest. When I feel the energy and I feel my heart skip a beat, like my husband says, he'll feel his heart skip a beat every so often when the frequencies change. You relax. You sit down and relax. You don't overdo it. Like I can tell when the frequencies are insane, because I'll try to do something that requires some physical exertion, and I'm like kind of out of breath. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh shit, I feel the heart beating, and then it stops, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Not stops, but slows down and becomes normal. But then you realize the frequencies were up at that time. But other days I'd be like, wow, I can go and go and clean this and do that, and be really just very industrious and not feel like I'm overexerting myself. And so people have to understand that your environment is huge in influencing your energy levels and all that. And so you have to understand how to read the room, how to read the environment. And people don't. They're just so used to reacting. And I react too, but I do it in a way that is going to be beneficial to me, not in a way that's like, I'm not trying to stop the energy. What I'm trying to do is absorb it and insulate it. That's all it is I take the free energy and then I insulate it. And that's why they say, if you're hungry, eat food. Like on like when I'm posting stuff and there is a word like food or something, or food bank, and they're like, oh, you need the nearest food bank. The system wants you to eat food. They're not trying to advocate all the remedies, but they are. But they're saying if you're not a licensed doctor, then you shouldn't be advocating cures. Okay. Back in the J world, the J juice turned into a cure after you dealt with the catalyst, with the energy. And so people were getting cured. Not that was the intention, but that was the outcome over time. If once they face their demons and whatever they were, you get cured, but that's not the point. Because remember, when you get cured, you're trapping those demons inside and they are cannibalizing you. And then you are, then you stop the body from releasing. That's why there was so much constipation in the beginning of the J world. We were doing so much J juice. And so I did J juice intermittently. I didn't do it the same time every day. I didn't do it the same time every week. I would do it intermittently. So that's why I was getting so many different realizations, because I didn't do the J juice all the time. I did it intermittently. So just like with these frequencies are intermittent, if they were the same frequency, then you wouldn't feel the fluctuations. It's when they keep changing the fucking frequencies in your environment, you feel like, oh shit, right? And so, yeah, it's the atmosphere, when it's relatively balanced and it's not changing so much, then you feel like everything's okay. You can be online with this and you feel energetic. And if you want to up the energy, you drink some coffee. You want to lower your energy, you sleep. And so, but now with all these changing frequencies, you can't seem to kind of get some relaxation. You're always reacting to the change. Well, with the J world, when things were relatively, calm, I would then up the energy with the J juice every so often, intermittently. I would drink a quart, maybe every couple of weeks. You'd see me every couple of weeks, maybe drink a quart or drink 2 quarts or try to do a gallon, right? And so that's what gave me then the mental clarity, the release, the mental clarity, releasing demons, even some of the symptoms that came up. And so when people were doing it every single freaking day, which was happening, they were feeling relief because they're doing the J juice every single freaking day. And then they were feeling relief. And so some of them had a relief in their cancer. They had a relief in all that stuff. But you can't make those kind of claims because you can't guarantee that to people. Some people will get relief. Other people won't. You can't make this a universal, this is going to be a cure for all this. That's why they got on my ass for even making any claims. As well they should. Because it's not universal. Everyone's different. Someone could be 180 pounds and they wouldn't get the same kind of relief at the same time as someone who's 100 pounds. Because they had 80 more pounds to deal with the fluctuations versus someone who then cured themselves at 100 pounds. And then they had constipation. So the poop was trapped inside. And then, and then they feel bloated because then there's replication also because you're eating food and you're compounding that shit. And so that's how I learned how to pull the crap out of my ass. And so that was the thing that I did for many years, but I didn't say it because it was taboo. Right. And I finally released my secret a couple of years ago, which was now this book. All right. And so this person is deteriorating. This person cannot even give me even an ounce of oh, wow, she was able to contradict herself, which means she's able to see the other side of the story. She couldn't even see that I was looking at both sides of the argument. Okay. So that's what you're going to see out there in some of the reviews and people. Here is more nonsense. December 10th, 2022. Emily. Summary: sneeze, cough, blow your nose, and pull feces out of your anus with your fingers, and it will save your life. It saved my life. It may not save your life and what you think of whatever your life is, but if you can't even do that, if you can't pull your own feces out of your ass, then you're already gone anyway, so whatever. All right? Blend fast food burgers with milk and drink up. The only constant with the author is in her series of 3 books is her obsession with her rectum and elimination, 0 stars. Yes, because that's the core of who you are. That's what the system is trying to control, is your gut. Your gut is basically your immune system. It's your digestive system, your lymphatic system, your whole system. That's why they use the V's, because when you have certain proteins that you don't like, and then you bring it, then and your immune system is not working the way you want it to work, then they bring in the V's to develop antibodies to then be a secondary type of protein, secondary antibody to go after things that you don't like, and then also potentially even stop your prostaglandins, your hormones, from releasing. So that's where people get the feelings of relief. They don't have that ionic energy in their body when their immune system is triggered. So, I mean, yeah, your rectum, understanding your freaking rectum, your sphincter is everything. But again, that is taboo. If again, the sexualizing your body parts has made people so afraid of them. And that was all by design. Of course it was. That's why. Yes. All right. So edit. I have been watching the author's videos. They are rambling word salads, punctuated with medical terms in no particular order, okay, or following customary definitions of the words. Her current videos are focused on daily abuse of her long-suffering dog, who has who she has diagnosed herself as evolving when the poor animal is clearly dying of some form of cancer. The dog is getting progressively worse as far as incontinence, no longer eats on her own, but is bottle-fed bizarre liquefied concoction of foods. Okay, the dog is noticeably in pain, which has also been sick, positive occurrence for this mentally ill author. Why her husband or other family or friends are not intervening on this animal's behalf is mind-boggling. She has made her dog a tortured science experiment with seemingly the intention of proving her wacky theories. And Jillian, you aren't feeling energy shifts daily. You are in menopause, and every physical issue you speak about are all normal menopausal symptoms. Get some help. Okay. So menopause could be that your body is breaking down and it can't hold a baby anymore and you're dying and you will eventually pass away. Or your body is relatively in relative equilibrium. There is no major thing coming in to cause you to drop an egg. And so you don't necessarily have to drop an egg, and you will feel the shifts in the environment. And so after Sugar passed away and I caught some of her bugs, well, yeah, after I dropped an egg and I had my period, which is all the way it's supposed to work. When you are going through an energy shift and maybe you get exposed to microbes or anything aggressive in the environment and your body feels that there's something impending that it may need to carry on the genetic line, it'll drop an egg. So no, I'm not in menopause. I had my period in February. Now we're in March. I don't really feel any particular pains except where I feel the energy frequencies. But remember, people characterize pain as something bad. They already have a diagnosable name, a condition. So that way, when you feel this stuff, then what do you immediately do? You go and get some kind of hormonal hormone therapy, or you go get some kind of birth control or some kind of pill so you don't feel it. So Emily has characterized the pains out there as something that you need to medicate. So there's always two sides of how you want to characterize symptoms. It's to either medicate it or it's to face it and feed it and deal with it and move on and eventually not fucking die from it. Okay? But that's the thing. That's you have to understand both sides of the story. The medical system, which Emily is on, only gives you one side of the story, and for a reason. They have bred so many people with so many genetic anomalies that they had to normalize all the feelings that you felt because the body is constantly trying to evolve, constantly trying to push out damaged cells, and the only way that they can make you feel like things are normal is if they put a name to it and make it a diagnosable condition and then a medication attached to it or an herbal remedy. Okay? Kim goes, they're very obviously full of, Oh, yeah. Well, and the thing is, with my dog, I try to save my dog. Now, I get it. Yeah, my dog was suffering. It sucked. On my end, too. I really thought I could save her. But, she didn't die at all, actually. I had to put her down because my husband was suffering watching it. I didn't really want to watch her breathe hard and do all that stuff. It was just becoming more than what even I could handle. And the environment wasn't giving her any let up. The environment was really just going to be so aggressive. And they weren't going to, let me tell you, if the environment wasn't so aggressive and they didn't have all the frequencies going on in November, she could have potentially survived the situation. But also with the surgeries that she had, which Emily failed to acknowledge or even put in there as a factor, she had 2 different surgeries, from a SPAY, laparoscopic surgery, and from having a cyst from before being aspirated. Damaged by the veterinary system. That's a lot of trauma, Emily. Do you advocate trauma to animals, Emily, by taking them to the doctor? I see people on my Facebook, their animals have gone through something. They went and got surgery. Okay, so the animal's okay, but the animal is progressively gaining massive amounts of weight. And the animal can't go and do the things it used to do anymore. The animal is dying. But they're dying totally obese, gone through the veterinary system under the surgeries, and now the owner's accepting the dog is dying. But not really, because again, the dog isn't dying because they're not suffering, but the dog is getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it will have vital organ shutdown. You think that is optimal? Okay, so Emily has failed to even acknowledge that the surgeries Sugar underwent contributed to all this bullshit, because my dog looked actually relatively young. And when I was bottle feeding her, you saw what she looked like. She looked like a puppy. But that was just the teaser. The Mother Nature was like, no, you have to pay back the surgery and that thing. And then all those antibiotics that was given to her during that time of the surgery and the spay and all that stuff and the aspiration all melts away. Then you can see what the actual veterinary did. You see the 2 holes. I know it was pretty bad. I'm sorry that she went through that, and I'm sorry that I had to see that. But now you know that the surgical system isn't a humane system. It's actually a butchery system. But you'll never see Emily acknowledge that. But she'll say everything about what I was going through. She'll leave out key things, of course. But that's okay. That's what people do when they don't understand both sides. They will only say their side, but they'll leave out key things like the surgeries my dog underwent prior to me taking her on. Okay? But 13 people finding that helpful out of 7.9 billion right now, I'm fine with that. I can deal with that. But thanks, Emily, for that. Carolyn Townsend. She was one of the trolls that oh my God. The emails after emails. I don't see any Daryl Staples on here from Canada, which I really doubt that who knows who the hell Daryl Staples is. He could, whatever. But I don't see him on here saying stuff. But he's definitely in my inbox or in my spam inbox. Okay? So, I definitely have some stalkers, and some of them come on here. There's at least 2 of them on here from that debunking page. The other one is just likes to stalk me. But the FBI, again, knows about him. If they really want to, they can go trace where that IP address is and figure out who the fuck he is if he really wants to become stupid about stuff. And I'm glad with that. But just so you know, they don't let up. The stalkers do not let up. The trolls do not let up. And that's okay, because they're keeping the information out there. I'll keep addressing whatever their claims that they're making against me. I'll keep addressing it. But they're keeping my name out there. They're keeping the conversation going. And I'll keep addressing it. And they'll keep the conversation going. And eventually, one day, people are going to see exactly. I'm still going to be fine and deal with the frequencies. Okay? I will have intermittent periods. It'll all be dependent upon what kind of bugs I'm exposed to, what kind of energy shifts that happen. But, there are people who are deteriorating the system. They don't even need the J world. If they think J world is deteriorating them, they're deteriorating. Emily, I know, is deteriorating because she's in the system of deterioration. It's called the medical holistic system. Already, that's a given. So for her to say what she says, you are already bought into deteriorating. So I don't know what it is that you're activism against as far as the J world, because you already accepted death. So what the fuck? So anyways, Miss Carolyn Townsend. The book has no research or truth at all. Truth is all relative to perception. Research is relative to what it is that you're researching and why. Carolyn she says she's a Christian, a very, very super Christian. Okay, more power to you. She says she has a few kids. And she runs that debunking page along with other people. Okay. So the author's obsessed with her poop and her anus. Abso-fucking-lutely. Those are the 2 openings in the tardigrade. You have the mouth in the tardigrade and you have your anus. You have to understand both sides. It's called your alimentary canal. But again, remember, a lot of the religions are against touching body parts. They're about giving their bodies to science. They're about giving their bodies to a stranger, to a doctor to go do things to. Okay, so remember, that's their background, is that they give their body to a stranger to be penetrated by a stranger. She makes up stuff as she goes, loosely Googles words, and then takes things out of context to fit them in her narrative. Absolutely. Because context is a smoke and mirrors. Just because you only recognize, poop in this context as it's like, oh, it's icky, it's gross, it's biohazard. You have to understand poop in the other context. It also gives life to you. It also gives you your programming. It also keeps you alive. And there's 2 sides to it. You have to understand how poop is what poop is. But she only wants to understand the one context. So absolutely, I will take everything and fit my narrative, because my narrative is the other side, the other argument. You don't have to die someday. And that, yeah, you may have fossilized poop from years ago, which is why people have cancer disease, chronic illness, obesity, and autoimmune disorders. And so she's absolutely right. I will give you another context to consider, another fucking truth to consider, not so narrow and so religious and so tunneled. You deserve to have another fucking truth. Okay? Because you're not going to get it from the medical holistic system. Remember, they're a fucking business. But again, people don't know this. They think they're all benevolent. No, you pay insurance premiums because you're paying somebody's salary. She is not well educated, not at all educated in science, health, or nor does she know how her own body works. She is not well. What does well educated mean? If you actually look at my student loans, I want to see, well, she might have a degree, but I have thousands and thousands of dollars in student loans. No, my parents didn't give me a free ride. No, I didn't get a scholarship. No, I didn't have some benefactor pay for my education. Guess what? I took on student loans. I have like probably like $60,000 of student loans. So what is well educated? That you tout the party line and you play that game, or you take the information when you need it and you apply it and develop your own thesis. That's what academia does. But academia says, okay, you have a thesis, but it has to be accepted by the peers in that science field. Okay, and if they're adverse to pain and adverse to anything like that, and they're like, oh, we don't want people to understand their own rectum or understand their sphincter, you can't advocate that because people might hurt themselves, then you are limited in how you bring apart your thesis in an academic environment. So even academics have their hands tied, and they still have to get acceptance from their peers. Okay, and so her whole well-educated is all based on biases. Okay, she's extremely biased, but then like everybody is in their belief system. But she's making claims that I'm not well educated. Well, that's her opinion. Again, I have $60,000 of student loans to prove my fucking education. All right. And I've worked in so many different offices in different industries. I've traveled the world. I mean, I haven't seen everything, but I've been to Portugal, which is the oldest freaking European nation, European country in Europe. Portugal's the oldest one. Okay. And when I went to Fatima, it was like going to the Vatican, because Fatima, which is that place where people make a pilgrimage to, where those two kids saw Mary, Mother of God, the pillars, the building looked like something out of the Vatican. It was gigantic. It was so like awe-inspiring. Okay, so I've been to Portugal. I've been to China, spent about 3 weeks in China, almost was put in a Chinese jail because I didn't understand how to bring my bags onto a bus when we went through the different customs, but they figured out I just had a bunch of souvenirs and that was it, no drugs. And so I've been to China, I've been to North and South China. What else? Lived in Hawaii. I've traveled to Canada with my parents. What else? Lived in Mississippi, lived in Washington, lived in Southern California, worked as a nanny for people in Hollywood. I was on the Dr. Phil show, of course. What else? Lived in Phoenix, Arizona, traveled with my husband on the truck, made my way here in Ohio. I would say I have a lot of different cultures under my belt. I've dated people who have advanced degrees, postdocs in biomolecular biology, whatever, out of UCSF, San Francisco. I've been in the Bay Area for many years, been exposed to politicians, movers and shakers. Okay, so, I mean, what is well-educated? You can have a degree from Minnesota and be a journalist and think that's well-educated with a very narrow point of view, and that's all you can tout is your narrow point of view. Or you could be out there understanding different cultures, understanding different lifestyles and belief systems, and evolve and feel the pain and accept that there are different cultures. But remember, we have a lot of people who are racist in our society, who are intolerant, who are homophobic, who are phobic of anything, who are maybe boomers that don't understand that, yeah, not everything is, God isn't in the medical or holistic system or in the veterinary system. That maybe you were sold a fucking dream, sold a bill of goods, and maybe it's time to evolve. But you can't tell people that who have been so insulated in their tiny little pond. And they are big fish when you think about it in their tiny little pond, because they've taken on the J world, who is a world fucking traveler. So you think you're connected to me, you think you're something, okay, fine. But then you better be able to back up your shit. Well, the only thing is that they can just make claims and accusations and insults. I haven't insulted all of them. I said that they've already told me everything they said about their background, like Christianity and And all of a sudden she has a bunch of kids, because I've gone back and forth with them through the email. I faced my demons. I didn't ignore everybody all the time. I face the demons when I need to. I don't purposely do kamikaze suicide missions, but I'll face my demons and deal with them on one-on-one. I have, and I haven't even added that one lady that had her own issues as far as cutting and all that stuff, and having dog after dog after dog after dog after dog. Okay, I'm not about destroying somebody. I'm not dehumanizing them, but look, they're trying to dehumanize the crap out of me. That's what the New World Order is trying to eradicate, is those that don't agree with someone, and they dehumanize them in the process. They're the ones why we had World War II. They're the ones why we had the Cultural Revolution. They're the ones of why we had such genocides, because they don't have any fucking tolerance to anything new or different. And so what do? They go and destroy. Physiologically, intellectually, spiritually. And right there, you're seeing why it is we are in a great reset. They are showing you why we're in a great fucking reset. Because if I was doing anything illegal with my dog, let me tell you, the Humane Society came to my house. They saw that I was doing everything I can to keep my fucking dog alive. That I had no malintention. I wasn't fucking torturing her. But they understood that there's nothing they could do at this point. The dog was too far gone anyways, and it was too far gone even like a couple years ago. It had to go through the process, because you keep giving it drugs, it'll die anyways. I probably kept her alive longer than if she would have gone to the vet to get all the drugs for her seizures and other stuff that she went through. And so if I was doing something illegal, they would have already arrested me. I would be in fucking jail. Okay? But no, I wasn't doing anything illegal. So anyways. And so to top it off, oh yeah. Okay, so the purchase of this book will be a waste of your money and time. Well, let them decide. Remember, I have this ebook for $5. If you don't like the ebook, then you just spend $5. No different than you go down the street and you give $5 to some homeless dude thing so they can buy a burger. $5. If you want to support me, you can buy the hardback or the soft cover, but the ebook is for those that are curious, and if they like it, great. Then they can have a physical copy. If they don't really like it, then it was just $5, maybe about an hour of their day. That's all the investment you really have to make when it comes to this. They make it sound like $5 is like, holy shit, that breaks their bank account. I mean, if they only have $5 in their bank account, then yeah, they're going to think that it's a waste of money to spend $5 on a new idea. Her medical advice, I'm not giving medical advice, will be damaging to your health. To top it off, any purchase of this book will also encourage the author to keep up the charade instead of getting the help she needs for her mental health. Well, that's the pot calling the kettle black, considering what I had to deal with the last couple years. Okay? For the good of yourself, your finances, and this author, do not purchase this book. Well, I have people purchasing the book. Am I a New York Times bestseller? Absolutely not. But remember, this is new. So I'm fine with making that uphill climb. I'm fine with it. I mean, I'm going to be the representation, the proof of my protocol and of the J world and of understanding pain and symptoms and pulling your shit out. So if all thy doesn't convince you, also know that she is horribly abusing her senior dog by feeding her from a bottle of concoction of salt and other items that aren't good for pets. Well, at this point, as you can see right now, they're recalling all these foods because guess what? Pets in this environment are not adapting very well. Remember, Akana and all the named foods were never destroyed. They never were cheap. I mean, Purina had that reputation of being cheap, but they're also, very historic. They were one of the first of dog food companies, and then they became very mainstream, even put in the dollar stores, right? They became a main item, but then people started investing in like Blue Buffalo and Akana, grain-free stuff, right? And so at this point, animals that are suffering right now, it's because the fucking environment, they can't handle these frequencies. You can't say that Akana and Blue Buffalo and Purina and all these dog food companies are poisoning the dogs. Oh, that's right. Remember the campaigns against the foods, the whole anti-GMO, all the chemicals. And so, right now, Carolyn is just reacting. She's just reacting to what's already going on in this environment. And of course, fitting my situation to fit her narrative, taking my situation and what people are experiencing anyways, and to fit her narrative. Okay, so talk about the kettle calling, or is the pot calling the kettle black? She loosely Googles words and then takes things out of context to fit them into her narrative. Well, speak for yourself, Carolyn. You're fitting this situation of the J world into your narrative that I'm poisoning the world, when most people are not even doing the J world and their dogs are fucking suffering from the veterinary system. The dogs are fucking suffering from climate change, from menopause. Okay? Emily. Judy Burkhart, Another Arm of the Hydra, reviewed in 2023. This book is basically unreadable. On top of that, this is about binging and purging. The author is smart enough not to use the trigger words, but when she writes that you must eat all food in the food supply, binging, then she instructs the reader that they must manipulate their sphincter with their fingers and pull out the feces, purging. Okay. So you're not supposed to eat all food in the food supply? Did I say that, take, 10 gallons of this porridge and eat it, binge it, and then go and purge it? See, again, another one fitting, putting their little spin on it. You're supposed to eat all food in the food supply. Food is food. Why is it that you can't handle certain foods? Oh, because you're deficient. Not only are you deficient, but you are intolerant. Why are you intolerant? Because you're deficient. And that's a whole loop. That's a loop. Deficient and intolerance is every single person in this freaking, except for Masa. She can probably handle stuff, most likely. I'm hoping she will. But most people that are talking smack are deficient and intolerant, and they're showing it through their words. And that's fine. We need all the evidence we can get from those who are very one-sided biased and can't see both sides of an issue. Okay. So I'm glad she recognizes that I don't use trigger words. Because, I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I'm telling you what I'm doing. Doesn't mean you have to do it. But see, when someone writes something, they think that you're supposed to do what they write. No, you can look at it and be like, okay, that's what they do. I'm not going to do it, but that's what they do. And it obviously works for them, and it could work for somebody else. So who am I to say it doesn't work for somebody else or should not work? I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing with Judy Burkhart, is she's making choices for other people. She's made the choice for herself. That's great. Doesn't mean that her choice for herself is appropriate for somebody else. But again, that's projection. And I had to learn that too. Remember, I've been there. I've been down that road. I had to pull back. All right. This is the second time I submitted this book review and warning to customers. So far, Amazon doesn't seem to want to publish this warning. I'm offended by this book. I do not recommend it to anyone. Offended. It's funny how people are offended by a book that they choose to purchase. You've already seen the preempted of this book through all my videos. If that hadn't warned you not to read the book, if you're offended by it, then why are you reading it? Again, Howard Stern said the biggest audience, or the people that make up his audience the most, were all the religious people that couldn't wait to hear what he had to say next. Not that I really model myself out of, well, in a lot of ways I do, but not really. But I mean, I'm not misogynist like, Howard Stern comes off as his routine. But that's who he was always dealing with, and who was keeping him alive was all the people that didn't like him. And so Judy was already warned about me through all my YouTube videos. Judy was already warned about me through all of my Facebook lives, yet she still bought the book, and she still is offended. That's the self-induced suffering that people are under right now. They're suffering, and it's all self-induced. Emily, self-induced suffering. Judy, self-induced suffering. Carolyn, self-induced suffering. Daryl, self-induced suffering. That one that says one too many, self-induced suffering, and yet I'm the enemy. I'm the enemy. When you're the one that put yourself in the medical system to stop all your stuff from happening, so that way you weren't conditioned when the climate did change, you didn't have the conditioning to deal with the symptoms. You blocked everything off. You stopped it up. You don't want to touch your ass because you got all into the politics and the religion and the scientific dogmas. Okay, now you're seeing what the medical system did to people. This is the outcome of the medical holistic system. This is the product that was developed from the politics, from the religions, and the scientific dogmas. In the medical holistic system, they are the offspring of the medical holistic system. Intolerance and deficiency. Penelope. Unreadable garbage. A gifted copy of the book was placed directly in the trash where it belongs. Would not recommend. This book is just a terrible mess of word salad that has nothing to do with the reality. Well, whoever gave this to you should have realized. But that was their choice to give you the choice. You made the choice. So whatever happens as far as this point forward, you've already accepted it, but you were given a choice. Now to talk smack about me says that you're feeling bad that you made the choice, that you didn't want to save your own life or consider another option. So again, I get to be the bad guy because someone else chose to destroy themselves because I'm not doing anything to them. This author makes an odd, non-relevant references that don't have anything to do with humans. The book shouldn't have even exist. It is just pages of made up ridiculous nonsense. Well, that ought to really, make people curious what the hell I wrote. I mean, because who in their right mind would write something that I wrote? Well, there's something in there. People don't want to realize it, but that's okay. Thanks, Penelope, for your intellectual review of author makes odd, non-relevant references. Well, could you give an example? And please be more complete in your review. Give people something to chew on. Majita. This new book by Jillian Eberly is utter nonsense, filled with unbacked claims by a woman obsessed with fecal matter. Her main points in this new book are feeding the hydra in your body and eating all foods and food supply and pulling the poop out of your butt. But she claims it'll let you live forever, save your money. Okay. Yeah, well, your fecal matter. That's why they do fecal transplants, so that way you get take on somebody else's programming and help, cure your diseases or cancers. I mean, Google fecal implants, okay? It's a thing. I don't really know who Majida is. She sounds like she's obviously another product of the medical holistic system. Yeah, forever is all relative. Obviously if a nuclear war came and there was an actual nuclear blast in your town, you wouldn't survive that. So no, if you're pulling shit out of your ass and you're eating all food in the food supply and you get hit by a nuclear bomb, you're not going to survive that. I never made that claim. So, yeah. Anyways, if you have to save $5 and not learn another thought process, then you've chosen to be ignorant of another truth in the world. That is actually relevant because it's all physics and chemistry and biochemistry. Joyce Chastity. She is a a left wing, pro-abortion, has done so many different activists. I'm just one of the latest ones that she has under her belt. The only thing she says is this book is gibberish, is plagiarized word salad. So if it's plagiarized, it means I'm still taking someone's ideas. I am copying sentences. Balboa Publishing, they make sure that I'm not plagiarizing anything because they don't want to be held accountable or liable. As far as the ideas, these are my own ideas. You will not see anyone in the medical or holistic system talk about pulling shit out of your ass. You'll not hear them say anything about eating all food in the food supply because the medical holistic system has programmed you to be intolerant and deficient and completely dependent on their herbs, extracts, tinctures. And so even some of these people are probably health professionals who don't want their bread and butter challenged by someone who says you can do it yourself. Okay, like maybe Majida, she could be a health professional and who is like, oh God, now I'm gonna lose my base if I were to, promote this book. Of course, I'm directly in contradiction with the medical holistic system. They're all about programming you to be dependent on them, making you deficient and intolerant. So you're dependent on them for pills, powder supplements, and detoxes and surgeries. Of course, I'm going to get pushed back. And so, yeah, Joyce, she was one of the admins on that debunking group. I don't have any issue with her. I mean, I don't really have any issue with anyone except that, damn, you guys are fucking harsh. But why do people not like me? Yeah, because, I don't want to fucking debate with everybody under the sun. I'm not going to go and do a kamikaze suicide mission and just sit there and let you guys just take pieces of me, and rip me apart like you see in Pitch Black or Riddick, okay? I'm going to find ways to intellectually respond back, even if you think I'm saying word salad or whatever. I don't care. So now we have Masa Katani. Masa Katani. Been using the J juice since 2018. Now, we're not supposed to be cured. But if you do get relief, that's great. If J juice was a catalyst to relief, that's great. So I see many of the Jillian haters left a review and most likely never read anything she has done. or practice any of her ideas, but I will testify this is the juice saved my life. About 2 years ago, a relative younger than me developed a colon cancer. Because of this, I went and had a colonoscopy and done it myself, and it turned out I have inheritable diverticulosis, a gene mutation that caused my relative cancer. But my colon was in perfect health to the point of my disorder. My doctor was shocked. Now I couldn't convince this person that this stuff works. Okay, so she probably, did not get cancer because she was able to release the demons and eat. And let's just hope that she maintains, okay? I can't guarantee that she's doing what I'm doing. As far as pulling the poop out, I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee she's probably eating all food, but we'll see. I mean, again, you don't know what people are doing behind closed doors, so we just see what happens, as time goes on. All right, so about 2 years ago, a relative younger than me developed cancer, colon cancer. Because of this, I went and had a colonoscopy done myself, and it turned out I have inherited diverticulosis, a gene mutation that caused my relative cancer. But my colon was in perfect health to the point of my disorder. My doctor was shocked. Now I couldn't convince this person that this stuff works, and they're now dying, and the system is dissecting them piece by piece. I pray for a miracle, but to each their own. But if you're sick and stuck, solutions, give this a try. Now, people say, look, is correlation equal causation? The fact that you don't have colon cancer, is it from the J juice? Can you make that correlation equals causation? You could potentially. I mean, but again, people can say it could be something else. The reason why you don't have colon cancer. There is no guarantee you would get colon cancer because somebody did. But if the J juice kind of veered you off that path because you're releasing demons, that is a potential. But again, can we actually prove that? Okay, so, there's no guarantees. We know that when you use salt and you have the exact amount of electrons to the salt nanoparticles, on your cell, and then there is no activity, right? Because there's no, an extra electron to cause that chemical reaction. That's a cure. So any excess electrons that are released, and then that cell gets cured. That's what cured is with salt. Okay. It's when you have that extra electron that causes the chemical reaction, which is why people feel stuff. But when you become cured, you have that equilibrium, equal parts. It's when you have that extra part that's highly, ionic is when people feel stuff. All right. So yeah, she could potentially had something and then the salt cured it. But now in the future, do you think she'll have that released, that situation released? And then will that come up? If there was replication and that wasn't fully purged out, there's no guarantee. That's why it's a day by day, week by week, year by year process. Every single day, every single week, when you're faced with frequencies that are shifting, it's up to you to deal with it in the way where you're eating and you're releasing, yes, the sphincter stuff, and then you're resting. Because again, if you're using J juice, even intermittently right now, in this environment, what is your intention using J juice right now intermittently? You're trying to cure something that's trying to release. That's why I said I don't even do J juice even annually. I even mentioned, do J juice annually. I don't even do that. My birthday was up. That's usually when I do the J juice. I don't even need to do that because I feel the frequencies. I feel all this stuff, and I feel the mucus come up my throat. I release the mucus, and that's it. I don't have any major infection. I think I had that after my dog passed away. I had that infection in the back of my neck that was it was like a hump, like a bump. Okay. And it was a little painful, but not really. This time it was just, it was swelling, but it wasn't painful. And it actually traveled its way towards my shoulder blade this last time. But if I hadn't released the demons and opened up my system, blew my nose, cough, sneeze, blew my nose, I would have had probably a spinal meningitis. But you see, the trolls, they listen to me every day, but they pick and choose what they want to point out. They don't say, well, she was dealing with the situation. She was sick for a week. She even came on Facebook Live and said it. She was sick. She felt it. And then, she overcame it. She released it. They're not going to say that because they don't want to even feel the sickness at all. So when you're cured and you are obese, you're cured and you're underweight, you're trapping those demons within. When you're aging and cured, it means that your body is holding on to energy that it can't afford to hold on to, and that energy is cannibalizing them. But again, they don't want to see it like that. They can't see it like that. But you have to see the other side of it. You've got to see the other side of it. And that the medical holistic system has produced these 8 or 7 or how many reviews? How many reviews? Yours? That's 8. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7. Oh, 8 reviews. Okay, it didn't seem like 8 reviews. But, I mean, those were there. Is that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was it. So, I mean, bless their hearts. Thank you, Monster, for that. But bless all of your hearts. I hope you guys survive climate change. No one's trying to harm you or destroy you. What is going on in your world right now as far as your cancer, disease, and chronic illness and autoimmune disorders, it's not only self-induced, but you put yourself in the medical system. You put yourself in the holistic system. That's why you have cancer, disease, and chronic illness and projecting all of your issues onto me. Because I'm telling you now, people have to face their demons. You can't afford to run away from your demons now. You're in such an aggressive climate. You can't afford to run away. Now it's time that you set yourself up to face it, or you stay more in the system and keep chasing the cures, the stronger one, until you're so cured 100%. That's called the morgue. When you're 100% cured, with the strongest freaking cure out there called morphine, and then that's when you're in palliative care and then in hospice. That's what you're chasing after. All my trolls. You're chasing after the morgue. Well, I'm not chasing the fucking morgue. I'm sorry. Life is for the living. If you want to be passed away, fine. That's what you're condoning on those reviews, is you're condoning not feeling anything, to be cured, and to not value life. But again, your politics, your religion, and your scientific dogmas have made you think that life is death and death is life. Okie dokie. That's the depopulation agenda. They are the actual offspring of the depopulation agenda. And so, it is what it is. I mean, I really can't say too much about it, except, well, I can. But you can't convert them. You can't convince them that they got to feel pain. Every single surgery they get, just another nail in their coffin, but you can't tell them that. They're in pain. They don't want to feel pain. They want to keep doing what they've been doing. Well, sorry, we're in climate change. You can't do the same thing over again and expect a different result. You'll expect the same result, which is a deterioration. A major deterioration. And again, I'm not doing anything illegal. So I don't give any medical advice. I don't tell you should do what I do. I don't even go on other people's pages and try to convert them. I just say, there is another alternative point of view here that you're not considering, that maybe you should consider, but if your politics, religion, and science are too much of an influence on you, and you have so much social capital and your friends and family are everything to you, and you don't want them to feel disappointed in you or change, then you will be stuck in your belief systems and you'll be trapped. And if you are very wealthy and you can't afford to cut down the energy that you have to go and maintain and spend on yourself by taking more of yourself, then that's on you. You got used to all the trappings of wealth. You got used to everyone depending upon you, revering you and worshiping you and ogling you. I'm done with that. I could care less. That's why I don't have a group. That's why I don't really answer questions through email. That's why I don't really interact. And when people are really constantly just asking me questions through even the notifications, all that, I even put a kibosh on that. I don't like all the excessive worshiping or the excessive love or the excessive hate, excessive anything. Drop your 2 cents here and there, be not emotional about it and be logical and bam, move on to the next fucking thing. There's no need to just keep looping and just pulling and emoting and oozing. And that's what I find is that you can ooze and cannibalize someone with love, and you can ooze and cannibalize someone with hate. And those two things are two sides of the same coin, which I have found out very aggressively the last 7 years. I don't want to say 6 years, but 7 years. So, as you can see, watch my Facebook. I'm doing pretty good using my technique. I'm sorry some people cannot use my methods. I'm 49 years old. No makeup, no filters, no Botox. I'm not too skinny or too obese. I eat all food, okay? I mean, if there's this food here, I'll eat it. If there's this food here, I'll eat it. I mean, I eat it at different times of the day. I don't have any kind of discrimination against any kind of food. Okay, everything is in moderation. Will I eat 10 pounds of chocolate in one day? No. Okay? I mean, come on. You gotta have a little bit of fucking common sense, but that's not, that's not how people work. They'll mischaracterize everything that I say or do. But, so I'm not too skinny or obese. I eat all food, no issues, no need for hospitalization or doctors or herbs, or all my parts work. No therapies required. I'm not under the influence. I have my coffee here, which I haven't even haven't even taken a sip of, except for a few sips prior to this. I don't smoke pot. When you think about it, I don't smoke pot. I don't even smoke cigarettes. Remember how I was smoking cigarettes and justifying it? Which it was fine. I wasn't going to die from them, but it was what I was needing at the time. And even now I don't smoke cigarettes. I have no need for it. Okay? I think I was smoking cigarettes because, yeah, I was probably suffering aside, dealing with my dog, going through her processes and trying to figure out how to deal with that. And so, yeah, when you are around suffering, here's the thing. This is what's very key. When you're around suffering, your friends, your family, your mom, your dad, your occupation, or even people on your Facebook, you will turn to all the drugs, the alcohol, the cigarettes, everything that can help you cope with whatever's going on. That's what I figured out. Once my dog passed away and I didn't have to go outside every single time she had to pee or whatever, and I wasn't dealing with some shit that I was like, just, oh my God, I turned to cigarettes for that, to cope with so much stuff, with what's going on. And so she stopped suffering because she passed away. I don't really have a need for cigarettes. That was gone. And so, yeah, when we turn to addictive substances, to help us deal with certain things, even in our body. Okay, so when you have issues in your body, or you're around suffering, or you are suffering, you will be addicted to something. Coffee is a food. I don't even abuse coffee. I have great adrenal glands. I have my own energy, but I like the taste of coffee. It's nice. I whip my own cream. I take the whipped cream that's liquid in the carton, and I add some sugar at the bottom of my Pyrex, measuring cup, glass. And then I put a bunch of whipped cream in there, about 2 cups, and I whip the shit out of it, and it's nice and stiff, and then I put it on my coffee. And that's, when you think about it, that actually is the best espresso drink. And I've done so many things of trying to doctor my coffee with this, and that. And these 2 ingredients, the Bustelo's espresso coffee mix with this whipped cream, is the best combination. I don't even need that much, okay? So then, no therapies required. I've been sick, then I handle my business with no medical intervention. I've had aggressive infections, stiff neck, hives, headaches, fatigue, etc., 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 and hot flashes, right? But no disease. I kept my weight, my collagen, my mental clarity, everything. So y'all want to diagnose me with a mental illness or menopause? Hey, go at it. You can project everything you want, because you're going to have to feel shit. If you want to diagnose yourself every time you feel something, then you are a product of the medical system. If you don't want to feel something and you feel something, you already have a diagnosis. You already Googled that symptom. Now you say you're suffering from now cancer, disease, and chronic illness. And then guess what you do? You check yourself into the hospital, or you go get an herb or an extract or something. That's the self-induced suffering out there that people project onto me. When I feel shit, I don't do anything except eat food, sleep, and pull out my shit if I need to. That's it. I don't have to bring in therapies or surgeries or drugs or anything like that. And I'm basically independent from the medical holistic system, of which I'm sure my trolls on that Amazon site are fucking jealous. That's what it comes down to. They're fucking jealous. I would be too if I couldn't do what that person is doing. I would be blocking and deleting because I wouldn't want a reminder of that. I wouldn't want a reminder that someone is independent of the medical holistic system. So, great mental clarity when you release the demons. It is popular to be pain-free using shortcuts. But the beauty is the path less traveled. And the J world is the path less traveled. Absolutely. Everyone wants something for nothing. Well, sorry, you're going to pay the piper. So I'm a woman before her time. That's where I'm pumping myself up, okay? I am not special. I use the JJ intermittently to wake up the demons, but climate change is like your little sister waking you up with a loud radio. So I don't even need any JJs now. Now I just use my technique to release, and then I cough, sneeze, and blow my nose. And I have no health issues. Do people think I'm on drugs? Oh, absolutely. Daryl Staples over there in Canada, if that's where he is, He always accuses me of being on drugs. Oh, you're on drugs and you eat your shit, Jillian. That's what he says. That's what he's putting out there in that debunking group. Because I already blocked him on Facebook, so now he comes through my freaking email. But that's what he says. You eat your shit and you're stupid. So that's how they're going to now take, what I'm saying, and embellish it and make it even more. But I don't see him on Amazon. I don't see him on Amazon saying anything. You know why? Because is that really his name? Is that really who he is? Who the fuck knows who he is? But if he really was Daryl Stipes and he really thought I was a horrible person, that Jilly Juice is so horrible, he would be like a Carolyn Townsend or a Joyce Chastney or an Emily, or have some like one too many or whatever. But no, there's no Daryl Staples on the Amazon reviews. So I question even that's who he is, which is why I just don't, I don't fuck with too many people, and I fuck with only with my husband's friends a little bit with as far as hanging out. But I don't do too much with strangers because you never know who people are. It doesn't matter at this point. But it's just so, like, again, be careful who it is you hang out with. You never know who people are as far as undermining you or working against you and all that stuff. And be honest about who you are. And at this point right now, in this climate, it's better to be more autonomous than not. And of course, with what I'm doing, I'm more autonomous than not. Because I have so many ideas that so many people do not understand and that are intolerant because of their deficiencies. Okay? And so, but, the few people they do hang out with occasionally, if that, they're pretty safe people. And even then, I try not to get too influenced by too many people. But, so, do people think I'm on drugs? Yes, they can't believe anyone is drug-free in climate change, 49 years old. So I'm drug-free, I can prove it, but it doesn't matter. I have no cancer disease or chronic illness or smoking cigarettes or anything. All from the J world. Took me 6 years, 7 years, long process, but it's worth it. And salt and water is a conductor. Food is an insulator. And so those are on diets, they're like, oh God, food is horrible. Yeah. There's, again, deficiency and intolerance. That's why they have an issue with food. And your body is supposed to release. That's why salt exists. That's why electrolytes exist. You're supposed to be able to fluctuate with the environment. When you're taking medicines to stop the body from releasing and putting in implants because of pain and deterioration, not only is that a foreign object the body wants to release, but if it's metal, it's a superconductor. People want range of motion. They don't want to rebuild. They put in implants and live on painkillers until you can't stop the pain. That's why people do not like me. I mean, when you think about it, it has nothing to do with the J world. It has everything to do with somebody telling them they should feel pain to survive. It's the fact that I'm conflicting with everything they were ever taught about the medical system and the holistic system. And so the people know they need salt in their diet. So anyways, you must be able to condition yourself to this evolution while you're alive, or you'll keep dropping children and dying and reproducing and not learning from your mistakes, and being exploited by someone who knows more. So you can't get away with being pain-free in this aggressive environment. You have to feel it at some level. And so people don't want to feel they want to be dead, but they don't want to be dead, but they want to be dead. And so you can't make people live. The irony is living is suffering on some level in a diverse world. So that's all I'm going to say. It's been a long video here, so I know I'm really just, but I had to face those demons in a proper manner without going back and forth. Now, they will probably spam the shit out of me after this, which is fine. But you have to know that's the nature of the beast. That's what's going on right now. That's the world that we live in. That we have people who are intolerant and deficient, and they can't wait to give their one-sided view. So, bye.